At Airbnb, we know that when travelers are thinking about travel nowadays, they're really thinking about how they can make their travel much more sustainable. So to that end also, we've adapted our platform and we've also introduced different programs that help travelers to travel in a more sustainable way. One of the first things that we've done is that because we know that our hosts are the main touch points for travelers when they travel, is we've provided our hosts with lots of information and education about how to make their own accommodation and their own listings much more sustainable. So what can they do to make their homes much more carbon neutral or carbon friendly? How can they reduce energy and so on? So host education is a very, very big part of the process. The second thing that we've also done is that we've partnered with a lot of governments to roll out different programs that are focused on sustainable travel. So one example of that is something that we did in New Zealand with the destination marketing organisation there that's focused on the Tiaki promise, which is what New Zealand is really focused on right now. Through that, we gave guests different information and different ways in which they can travel in a more clean and low footprint manner in New Zealand as part of the Tiaki promise. We also rolled out a program in Malaysia a couple of years ago that focuses on highlighting different green travel destinations and listings that people can find on our platform. And we did that in partnership with the Malaysia Green Technology and Climate Change Corporation because Malaysia has a carbon neutral goal by 2050. So we partner with the government to educate potential guests and also educate potential hosts on ways in which they can make their accommodations much more environmentally sustainable. But I think at the end of the day also, when travelers are traveling, they want to make sure that their travel is for good. And that extends beyond just the environment, which is why at Airbnb, for us, sustainability is not just about environmental sustainability, but it's also about cultural sustainability, about economic empowerment and sustainability, and social sustainability. So we know through some studies that we've done, we commissioned a study with Economist Impact in 2022 that really looks at the desire for travelers in the Asia-Pacific region to conduct more conscious travel. So what does that mean? Conscious travel, I think, in the minds of travelers is to travel in a way that impacts local communities in a net positive manner, and that also enables local communities to benefit economically and culturally from the travel. So because of that, we also think about different ways in which we can do that on the ground, and that extends to various partnerships with local government. We enable our hosts to think about how to preserve cultures in their local areas and so on. So I think for Airbnb, to sum up, for us, sustainability really needs to be all-encompassing and it needs to go beyond just environmental sustainability. Yeah, so we make a lot of product changes to our product and to our platform, but we tend to roll that out twice a year. So Airbnb has 2 product changes and product announcements that I made every year. What we do is that we always look at travel trends and we look at what consumers really desire and then make tweaks to our product as a result of that. One clear example of this is the notion of group travel. So we know that more people are traveling in groups. It might be multi-generational families, nuclear families, or even just groups of friends. Right now, we know that 80% of travel that happens on Airbnb is actually group travel. So it's a very, very important trend that we are thinking about. In May this year, we rolled out a new product which basically enables groups to collaborate more easily on the Airbnb platform. Previously, if you pulled together a wish list, it would be an individual wish list, and there was no way for groups to be able to collaborate. But because we've made tweaks to that, groups can now go and contribute to a combined group wish list that enables them to all comment and upvote or basically provide information on or their own opinions and thoughts on various listings that are within their group wish list, which would then make it much easier for a group to select a place to stay when they're traveling on a holiday. So that's just one example of a product tweak that we've made. The other thing that we've also noticed is that we know that people really want an authentic and unique accommodation experience when they travel. So we have basically rejigged the whole way in which search is done on the Airbnb platform. So previously, most of the time, I think when people think about accommodation when they travel, they think first about the destination, and from there, then they select an accommodation. But Airbnb launched a new way of search called categories, which basically lets people think about what types of accommodation they want to stay at as a starting point. So if you are looking for a heritage stay in France to live in a castle, for example, you would be able to use that category as a way of searching. And what we found, interestingly, is that this brings people to areas that are outside of the typical tourist areas. It helps with discovery of new locations, which then brings the benefits of tourism to different destinations as well. So we also rolled this out in Asia, and our Hanok category and our Ryokan category are both really popular categories now on the platform. In fact, I think about a quarter of the Ryokan listings that we have in Japan on Airbnb, which are easily searched through the Ryokan category, are in areas that are outside of the urban areas, which brings a lot more tourism and economic opportunity to these rural areas instead. And then I think finally the question about partnering with local governments is one that we do very often. So we partner with local governments in many different ways, but I think the starting point for us is always to try and understand from a tourism point of view, what is the government trying to do in a local area? What sort of tourism are they trying to promote? Are there areas that they want travelers to travel to? And with that, we partner with them to help showcase the different local areas and the different maybe underdeveloped tourism destinations that government wants to promote. So we work with governments in many different ways, and it's always informed by what priorities the government has, and then we go from there. Yeah, so I spoke on a really fun panel this morning. I think for me, the really fun part about it was to be able to sit on a panel with a very diverse range of stakeholders. So I was on a panel with someone who was from a travel insights company and someone who was from an airline. And those are parts of the travel industry that are quite different from what I do. And so being able to hear the diversity of views, to hear what different types of companies are focused on as part of the panel was very interesting. But I think also participating in the conference basically let me meet a lot more types of people within the travel industry, and it was really like a one-stop shop way of learning new trends, meeting new people, and understanding how different businesses are thinking about travel in the coming years in the APAC region.